Welcome to the African Youth Voices podcast, where we explore the opinions of the youth of Africa. Here's your host, Soufiane Choubani.
Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of the African Youth Voices podcast. Today, we're going to have a special episode with two debaters from our own very own Moroccan Debate Association. The topic that we're going to be discussing today is some challenges that Moroccan women face in Morocco in society. And I think we have a very privileged opportunity to speak to a Moroccan high school student and a Moroccan university student. So with the introduction out of the way, let's just have a few introductions from our guests today. So we'll start with Hadba. Would you please just give us a short introduction about yourself?
Hi, my name is Hadba. I'm 20 years old, I'm Moroccan, and I'm a law student. I'm really happy to be here.
We're happy to have you too. All right, next we'll have Abir. Would you like to give us your little bit of introduction?
Hello, my name is Abir. I'm from Casablanca, Morocco. I'm 16 years old, a junior in high school, and I've been in the Moroccan national debate team for about 3 months.
Cool. All right, so today we're going to talk about some topics that can be very controversial, very challenging, but I think it's very important because as a Moroccan who has two Moroccan sisters, I've lived in, alhamdulillah, I've been able to live in Japan, Ukraine, Poland, Morocco, and United States. And I'm always shocked about people who just have this stereotype about Moroccan women. Like the first thing they always ask me, oh, does your mom wear the hijab? And I'm just like, no, I have to explain it to them that wearing the hijab is an option. So without getting into those serious topics, that's just kind of like a preview of the episode we're going to discuss today. But let's just stick it to the soft topics before we get into the more serious topic. So we'll go in the opposite direction this time with the questions. Abir, just tell us a little bit about what made you want to take up debating.
So since very young, I've always been very opinionated. I've done theater, public speaking. So it was kind of my field even before I started doing debate. And when I found this opportunity on Instagram, I just jumped on it and hoped for the best.
Okay. And Hadba?
Debating has always been a part of basically my personality. I've always been somebody who talked to my friends, debated with my family, debated with my teachers. So, and also I want to be a lawyer in the future, and debating and being a lawyer go hand by hand, and debating is something I'm very passionate about. And yeah, I'm really happy I'm a part of this debating association.
Cool. All right. So as we all know, debating gives you the skills and the opportunities to voice your opinion, which is something that's a big topic a big controversy in Morocco. Some women do not feel they have the right or the opportunity to voice their opinions. So do you think first question is this something that you personally feel in your professional life or your educational life? Do you feel like you can freely voice your opinions, or do you feel like sometimes you get shut down just because you're a woman? Who would like to go first with this question?
Okay. I think when it comes to voicing your opinion, you can get ridiculized for saying some experiences, or saying that something hurts you or you are uncomfortable with something. Society might ridiculize you, and we see that every day in social media when women make videos about a certain topic that's relating female issues, and there's always comments saying these subjects are stupid, these subjects are too much, you're always talking about this. This is not something important to mention. So I think in some situations you feel like if you talk, you're gonna be seen as this, soft person or something who is a snowflake, stuff like that. Many women feel like they're in a position to just shut their mouth and not say anything, but others feel like they should talk. And when they do, there's a lot of hate and there's a lot of silencing, basically.
Okay, and Abir?
So in my own experience, it's not that I cannot voice my opinions. It's more that everything everything a woman says is nitpicked at to make it seem as if everything is absurd. And even in school, even if you talk about like feminist issues and things you experience in your day-to-day life, you are made to feel insignificant. And there are these people that say, well, there are bigger issues than that. Well, we're not denying that there are bigger issues, but it's kind of just talking about it is really a big progress, and we do not get to do that freely.
Okay. So to touch on a little bit more about what you guys have both mentioned, I think like Hebir, you touched on like the social media aspect of voicing your opinion. And I think Hebir touched on like the actual real life experience of voicing your opinion, which I think is really interesting because now we have both views from two different people. But I want to maybe ask a question to the both of you, like, with social media being on the rise, like now you can get a smartphone for about $40 and you're on the internet, you're on social media, which I think is a good thing because it gives people opportunities to get it on the internet. But I also think it can be a damaging thing because now you have maybe people from like very conservative areas of Morocco who now have access to the internet. So do you think it's more like maybe these people who are criticizing women speaking out on the internet is just like people who are from very conservative areas versus like someone in the city? Like, for example, I think, in my opinion, I think a girl in Casablanca, she would be not very like, there wouldn't be much backlash if she voiced her opinion in the city center with her city friends. But I think she would receive different treatments in the internet because there's so many people from every area of Morocco. Would you agree with that opinion or would you disagree? What are your inputs on that?
I definitely think that's true because in real life, people surround themselves with people that are like us. We are surrounding ourselves that are like-minded. We are surrounding ourselves with our family that understands us, and even if we are with people in real life that don't agree with us, it's less likely to have this really violent reaction or this really vulgar reaction to our opinion. Whereas when it comes to social media, everybody has the whatever they want. Everybody from different backgrounds, from different religions, from different traditional, upbringings and everything, they all get to say whatever they want to say with no restrictions. So there's I definitely agree with the opinion that social media gives, it's almost like a double personality. You can be the same person, same thing in real life, you wouldn't say something very vulgar, but when you're in social media with behind the screen, you would say something completely like violent and shocking and expect no consequences, which is not the case in real life, because you can definitely expect somebody to yell at you or say something that is mean. So yeah, I think social media gives people the freedom to say whatever they want, even if it's completely brutal.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Okay. And Abir, since you touched on like the real life aspect, do you feel like safe in your social circle to speak out, or do you still like get backlash from your classmates and
Sometimes when I get on social media, I feel like the sexism there is completely unreal, especially in Moroccan communities. So I really feel unsafe voicing my opinions in these kind of circles. However, compared to my real life social circles, and as has already been mentioned, I choose people who are like-minded. So I have no problem, and I do not fear voicing my opinions in real life as compared to voicing them on social media, where really it's insane. A woman could say anything and it's going to be turned completely upside down.
Do you think that's like because like so on paper Morocco has a lot of rights for women on paper, but I think there's a difference between on paper and in practice, because you can have something on paper that says women have the right to choose their partner, women have the right to voice their opinion, but in practice, does that actually apply? So, which brings me to the question of like, do you think like some of these comments or backlash that these women receive on the internet or even in real life, do you think it's something just because like the generation has passed on their beliefs to the future generations? Like their father treated his wife or his daughter like that, so therefore I can do the same thing. Do you think that's like what's holding progress in Morocco back?
Yes,
Who's
Sorry, we had Abir speak first, so we'll have.
okay,
sorry,
Abir. Sorry, I'll start assigning who speaks next, just so we don't avoid this. So Abir, could you answer this one for us?
So
Okay.
yes, absolutely. Like we can see that we are making a lot of progress, and this generation is far more open-minded than the previous one. But there's always this little something holding us back, and these beliefs that we have inherited from the previous generation, these beliefs are holding us back and are stopping us from making real change.
Okay, and Hadba?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you said and what Abir said. I think you find a lot of kids, or not kids, but young people that are educated, that go to school, that have degrees, that have they have a device that makes them really open to the outside world, to Western societies, cultures, and everything. But at the same time, they tend to have a really traditional mindset, even though they are exposed to open-minded countries, open-minded movies, TV shows, songs. But when you talk to them, you find it that within them, they are very influenced by their parents and by their grandpas and by ideologies that are like really old. You can find it's really shocking, honestly, because when you find a old man or an old woman that says sexist stuff, you're like, well, it's how she was educated, it's how she was, or how he was, that's how his generation is. But when you find a young person who is, it's really shocking. It's like, wow, where are you living? Who is telling this? And the problem, you find that the ideas that young kids have now are far more worse than the ideas our parents have. It's like, I don't know, it's very shocking to me whenever I see somebody my age that has this extreme sexist and this ideas that are based on discrimination, whereas he studies with girls, he works with girls, but at the same time, in his heart, he has this deep-rooted hate and deep-rooted, what do you call it? They feel like they're superior. What is the term?
Like masculinity, like they feel like they have to be the man in the family.
No. They feel superior, basically.
Superiority, yeah.
They feel superior than women and girls. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. So I guess to maybe move on to the next topic before we end this topic. So do you think that progress is being made? And if so, do you think this will change in 100 years, within 200 years? Or do you think that women in society are always going to be treated unfairly by their partners, by their, social media context they have? Or do you think that there will be a change in this in Morocco within 100 years or 200 years? Let's go to Hadba for this question first, and then we'll move on to Abir.
I think progress is definitely moving. There's definitely progress. If we compare our situation just 10 years ago, it's not the same as now. There's progress in Morocco, in countries, even in poor countries. The situation of women is definitely development. The problem is the speed of this development. We can't really compare the speed of us progressing with the speed of Western countries or America and stuff like that. I think, I don't know really when is this going to be true, when is equality going to take place in Morocco, but I definitely think that we're going there. Definitely, I think we should start with laws, with enforcing laws, not just writing them on paper, with like applying them and applying the punishments and everything, and with education. Obviously, with education, with sensibilization of women issues, it's definitely going there. Our generation, when we're going to be parents, it's definitely not going to be the education our parents and grandparents gave us. I totally agree with that, totally believe in that, but I just don't know when it's going to happen. I really hope it's soon. But yeah, I believe in us.
Sure, sure. Ebir, same question.
Yes, I completely 100% agree with that. Change is going to happen. It's going to be slow, and it's not just about the speed. It's also that we started late when English authors, women were voicing their opinions, like fighting sexism. We women were not allowed to go to school here in Morocco. So I think this is the problem: is that we started late, and this is a problem. But I think change is going to happen. 100 years from now, the world is going, Morocco is going to be so much different from what we have right now, especially with this generation. I completely agree. This generation is making so much progress, even though sometimes I'm shocked by how much sexism still exists.
Okay. I just wanted to add my input on this question a little bit. So I've been part of Morocco Debate Association for the last 8 years. And one thing that I've seen is the number of female debaters who come to try out for our debate teams. Like when we first started in 2014, we had like 2 female debaters and we had like 8 male debaters. But now, like, I think when you guys see our teams, we have like, our teams are basically dominated by women. Like we have way more female debaters than we have male debaters. Like even our national team that went to the World Championship this past summer, we had just 1 single male debater and 3 female debaters. And also our best debater, like in 2022 is a female, where in 2014, 2015 was a male. So I do see a change in women's like ability to voice their opinions. Obviously, I'm just looking at from the perspective of a debate association, but just the fact that more women are coming out to try out for our teams, like I don't know, it gives me kind of like hope or inspiration that there is being change in Morocco. Do you guys agree with that, or do you think they're just coming out for our debate team because they want to escape Morocco and go on a trip?
The second.
The second. And Ebir?
So yes, I agree with that. That lately, like we have seen more hardworking women. It's not that men don't work anymore. It's just that women have to work harder to prove themselves, to prove that they deserve the place that they are now holding in society, and to prove that they actually deserve more. And you would think that seeing all these women who are doing super great, who are working very hard, you would think that men would be convinced that, oh, they maybe we should make them equal to us. But no. And this is the real problem. Women are working their hardest to achieve what they want to get to. But I mean, it's happening, but not at the pace we want it to be.
So that's an interesting input. Like, so in my opinion, I always ask myself, like, when we do tryouts for our teams, especially our national teams, I always like look at the applicants, of course. And I've always noticed that it's like 80% of them are female, like 20% of them are male. So I don't know, this is just a thought that I came up with, or just an opinion that I have. I'm like, maybe they're seeing our videos and they're seeing our results and they're seeing that like the female debaters are dominating in our association. And maybe they're just feeling intimidated or be embarrassed. Like maybe there's a guy out there who's like, oh my God, if I get on this team and we go to a competition and my female teammate does better than me, I will feel so embarrassed. Which is like I guess I want to relate this to society, because like Abir just said, there are a lot of women in Morocco who are doing great things, setting up companies, becoming CEOs, innovators, engineers, doctors, who are just doing great things in Morocco, not even in Morocco, but like in all over the world. Like I think some of the Moroccan women became like leaders or ministers in European countries. So the question is for both of you is like, do you think that this is intimidating men, which is why they feel like they need to speak out more, harass women more on social media, because they just feel like women are becoming more powerful? So let's start with Hedba with this question.
I think I'm going to comment on what you said about why men don't do these kind of activities more. Activities like being in an association or public speaking or debates. I don't think it's because they feel like they're intimidated by their female coworkers or colleagues. No, not coworkers.
Teammates.
Colleagues.
Teammates.
I think there's, since we are frequent. We talk with guys. We study with guys and everything. I've always noticed how guys, there's this embarrassment of guys participating in these kinds of competitions or activities, because not embarrassment because of women, but because they would say, my friends are gonna laugh at me, my friends are gonna bully me, they're gonna think I'm a nerd. There's definitely this culture that is within guys. You see a guy, I've frequented many guys that have talents of debating, of public speaking, of singing, of artistic tendencies, but they wouldn't go for it because they don't like this kind of exposure of being a nerd, or I don't know, doing this kind of stuff, wasting their time with
extracurriculum
activities. So I think with girls it's different. With girls you would find a lot of encouragement rather than being embarrassed or shamed for being a part of an association or competing or something like that. So yeah, and also I think when you said that women are changing and taking more roles in stating their opinions and everything, I think that's definitely a fact. Women are finding their voices more. They're finding their confidence more to be in a position of leadership, to be in a position of exposure. We find in school, for example, I'm a law major, and most of my classmates are girls. And most of the classmates that debate with our teachers, talk about stuff, and are opinionated are girls. We see that women are now going into the field of talking and expressing, and this mindset that a girl needs to be a strong individual that talks and expresses herself is definitely being more normalized than it was a few years back. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Ebir?
So I agree with what you said, that men are definitely intimidated. I don't know if that's all there is to it, but it definitely plays a role in that. So I've recently read about a phenomenon called male flight that has been noticed since women started going out in the workforce, and it is that when women take part in a certain activity or in a certain field, you notice that men tend to avoid these fields. Like now that most nurses are women, it was not always the case, but since women started becoming more nurses, then less and less men want to become nurses. And I think this is what is happening, and I think this is that what is happening is that men are definitely intimidated when they see a woman doing better than them. And a very obvious example of that is when between spouses, when the woman makes more money than her husband, then he tends to feel as if he's lesser than her. And even if she does make more than him, he always wants to be the one who's in control. So this is a problem that is very, very common in Moroccan society.
Okay, so we got two very different, interesting views. One thing I would like to comment on, so like the situation where the wife is making more than a husband, and whatever, she might have a better, higher paying salary. Now, I feel like that could be an issue within a couple in Morocco, within a couple in Europe, and within a couple in North America. So I think that's an issue with so it kind of begs the question, is it do we still have this mindset, not just in Morocco, but all over the world, that the man has to be the leader of the house? Just to touch on a little bit what Hatba said. So I grew up in the United States. I started debating in the United States, and I had the same belief which she mentioned. I remember I only got into my debate team because my high school history teacher was like, you should join it. And the first thing I told him when he told me you should try out for the debate team, I was like, no, I don't want to join that team. That's a team, a bunch of nerds. But once I got into it, and once I was persuaded to join, it just changed my perspective. I was like, oh wow, I can actually use these debate skills in my personal life, at a job interview. I could use it for so many different areas of my life. So anyway, just to move on from this topic, do you think that? So I guess we have two different point of views. We'll just leave it at that because we don't want to start debating about the same topic or arguing with each other. Moving on to the next question, which is probably a very simple but could have a complicated answer. Do you feel safe in Morocco? Like as a woman, do you feel like safe to walk down the streets? Obviously, there's going to be a different answer for in the time of the day. Obviously, the night would have a different answer than the day. So how about we'll go with Ebir this time first. Do you feel safe
So
as a woman? Go ahead.
So no, I definitely do not feel safe walking down the street, even in broad daylight. I do not feel safe, especially like in Casablanca, a big city where like there's a lot of crime here, and especially towards women. So women are most likely to be victims of crime than men. So I definitely cannot walk alone down the street in Morocco, even in a crowded street. I cannot do that. I have to be with somebody, or rather, I have to be with someone, a man, a boy, just to feel safe, because a man might not approach you if he sees you with another man. But if he sees you alone, he will be encouraged to approach you, which I do not feel comfortable with. And uh,
Yeah.
it has happened to me a lot of times that I was walking down the street, and unfortunate instances has it was really not good. It's really not something I would do. Being in my sane mind, I would never do that. No.
Okay. Well, I have to say that's really sad to hear, but that's the reality of what it is. Hedba, same question.
I think safety, the question is safety of safety is very complicated. I think everyone in Morocco can relate to the lack of safety, men and women. Women, though, they have more things to worry about. When it comes to safety, that is related to all of us, women, men. There's thieves. There's a lot of thieves in the streets. You could be walking down the streets, whether you're a guy or a woman, and you come back home without your phone or your wallets. In the bus, they would take your necklace or they take your wallet. It's crazy. I think safety is definitely something that bothers all of us as Moroccans. But we have sexual harassment, verbal harassment. I definitely don't feel safe all the time. Sometimes I do feel safe. It depends on, as you said, the time, and it depends on the area. There are many areas because it's crowded, and it's the center of the city, where there's restaurants, where there is more civilized people, whatever. But then there's other places that are less crowded, or in an isolated place, or a sketchy neighborhood, where you're definitely going to have problems. And as a woman, I learned how to choose where I go. If I want to go to a destination, I might even take the really long road just because of this, just because I need to be around people rather than be alone walking down a neighborhood alone. So yeah, safety is definitely an issue for all of us, women and men, and it's an issue when it comes to harassment and hearing touched or grabbed for no reason. That's definitely an issue that more women face in Morocco. Big cities, small cities, everywhere is the same.
Yeah, I can relate to that
So
because
no, sure.
yeah, so I was gonna say I can relate to that because I've gotten my cell phone stolen in Morocco once, so I know the feeling. It's a terrible feeling and probably the worst experience I've had when I was in Morocco. So yeah, I can imagine it would be a lot more like I just assumed that with like technology and phones nowadays, like for example, your iPhone, it's like if you have a code on your iPhone, there's no way to get into it without the code. And I think Android has reached a level of privacy and security as that rivals iPhones. So I just like I haven't lived in Morocco in a while. I visit once very often, but usually just for a week. So I just assume with like the security and find my phone, find my Android applications that are available, I think like I just assumed less phone theft would be happening. But I think we spoke about this privately. I spoke to you about this privately, Hedba, that you said something funny. You said now when thieves steal your phone, they will also ask you for the PIN code for your phone.
They would ask you for iCloud. They don't want to deal with any iCloud thing.
So that they know all the secrets. They ask you for the code.
The audacity. The thieves are smarter now. They know that
What about you, Ebir? Have you ever had your phone stolen? And if you did they ask you for the passcode too?
No, I have never gotten my phone stolen. I think I'm very lucky. Like I always go with my phone right in my hand. I don't even try to hide it, and
Yeah.
luckily I've never had my phone stolen. No.
Yeah, I've also like I lived in Morocco like permanently, not just visiting in like from 19 or no, from 2008 to 2017. And I remember I had my phone so often that like it got to the one point where like the last time my phone got stolen, I was just like, hey man, can I just have my SIM card? Like I know you're gonna take the phone, you're gonna throw the SIM card in the garbage. And he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. He took out the SIM card and just walked away like we were friends. And I was like, what a weird experience. But yeah, so definitely safety is a big problem in Morocco. But like, why? My question is like, okay, when I had my cell phone stolen, I actually went to the police. Needless to say, they did absolutely nothing. Like, I called the police. They came like 30 minutes later and they were just like so chill about it. They didn't even try to find the people. And I tried to describe the person who stole it. They're like, oh, yeah, we know him. He's notorious. I'm like, if you know him and he's notorious, why haven't you caught him? So that's just my perspective as a male in Morocco getting his phone stolen. I guess with you two, I want to ask like if you feel like someone has done something that would be considered breaking the law, do you feel safe to go to the police and report it? So let's start with Hedba for this one.
definitely not. It's
Wow.
the same, all the same. Same experience with authorities, whether you're a man, you're a woman, it's just the same. A friend of mine got her phone stolen. We had an exam, and when we were walking, he took the phone, and we noticed like straight away when we called him, he was like, we called the phone, you know, and the thief picked up, and he was like, "This is my phone. This is my phone. I just bought it." And he was like, "I just bought it." Anyways, we went to the authorities, we went to the police, we didn't call them, so we went to them. We did not even bother them. We went to them, she filed a report, never heard of it again.
Yeah.
No conditions was done. And you know, she just ended up buying her own phone. And even though we knew where the phone was, because we had the location thing,
Of course,
we knew where the phone was, police did no attempt to go and like see where it is. Okay. There's this indifference. Yeah. Indifference when it comes indifference
or injustice kind of
topics.
Or is it perhaps injustice, like when you go to report something?
Yeah, definitely. So it is a form of injustice because they're supposed to, you know, to protect us and
investigate.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what about you, Abir? Do you feel like you get some kind of response when you? Well, have you ever went to the police to report a crime that was committed?
No, but according to my friends who have, it's just a waste of time. It's just a waste of time. You would better go and buy a new phone than go report it to the police because the police are going to do nothing about it. And some of my friends, when they get their phone stolen, they're just thankful that they didn't get killed in the process. So they just go and buy a new phone and never talk about it again.
Yeah.
There's this quote in Morocco that Moroccan people say. They say, you need to call the police if there's blood.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Nobody cares, you know? If they only care. I mean, I'm not going to say that everybody, but the majority of the authorities, if there isn't something that is death or a matter of life or death, you're on your own.
Yeah, I just assume with like, you know, I know the thieves are getting more, they're getting clever. They're asking for the code. but I just always thought that you could still lock your iPhone remotely or your Android phone remotely just by going to your iCloud settings and pressing wipe all data or lock phone or something like that. But I guess what they probably do is when they unlock the phone, they probably reset it. So they reset the phone for like factory reset, meaning all of those cloud features are eliminated. Anyway, let's move on to a different topic. Sure, go ahead.
Thieves, they don't. Most of them don't really care about the phone. They don't really take the phone. They sell it as pieces. That's how they make
Oh, okay. So they're selling it as parts.
all of that. The camera, they sell it to people that are in the field of phones. That's how they get
Oh,
money.
okay. Yeah, I guess if you take the phone apart and start selling the parts, then it's, if it's locked, it doesn't really matter to them.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That makes me still worry about, taking out my phone in public in Morocco because yeah. Okay. So moving on to, I guess, more of the same topic but different area is that like I always tell my friends that there's a difference between a Moroccan woman who lives in a city and a Moroccan woman who lives in the village. I personally tell my friends, and I personally believe that a Moroccan woman who lives in a city has more rights, has more freedom. But after talking to you two about this for the last 30 minutes, I feel like I'm totally wrong. So let's hear your opinions. Do you feel like that a woman who lives in a city, like the city, like Casablanca, Marrakesh, Kenitra, versus a woman who lives like in a remote village where there's only like a population of 100 people. Do you think those are the same Moroccan women or two different Moroccan women? Let's start with Abir with this one first.
So you're right, there's a huge difference. I have some cousins in the village and their lives are completely different, and I cannot imagine myself leading this kind of life. They are really, they have no rights. Like compared to us, they have no rights. Most of them stop school at sixth grade. If they're lucky, ninth grade, they get married instantly after hitting 18. And it's really a horrible life to lead in villages. If you're underprivileged, I'm not talking if you're rich. If you're rich, there's kind of a difference.
Yeah, I just want to share a statistic before we give Hadba to read this, to give her opinion. So I was looking at some statistics of women who live in the villages and rural areas of Morocco, and I found that 78% of girls between the age of 12 and 14 are no longer in education if they live in a small village town. So that's actually pretty shocking because 12 to 14, I mean, that's both of you are older than 14. So to hear that almost 80% of the women who live in rural areas of Morocco had just quit education and they're probably just planning to, seek a life as a housewife is, as a Moroccan, it's kind of sad. But anyway, Hadba, do you have any comments about that question? Do you think there's a difference between a woman in the city and a woman in the village? Obviously, from the statistics, there is, but what are your opinions on this?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're definitely not wrong. There is a huge significance difference. I think even though we're all women, but everybody experiences discrimination in their own way and in different ways and in different intensity. I think it depends on whether you're privileged when it comes to finance, whether you're privileged with educated parents, etc., etc. But when it comes to the difference between city girls, not city girls, girls that live in the city and girls that live in rural areas, there's definitely a difference. Lack of education, marriage, minor marriage. Girls are supposed to, do chores and have parents that they sell their daughters to families in cities so they can do their do housework. You can find 14, 15 years old girls that live in Casablanca or big cities that were sold with what do you call it,
Like,
there is this
like,
huge problem in rural areas where parents they give they give away their daughter to rich families for money. You know,
Yeah.
like a girl, she has no education, she has nothing. She's just to families in cities, so she can bring home money by working and being a house cleaner and everything. You know.
Yeah.
And also the problem of domestic violence, lack of lack of healthcare, lack of women care. There's huge problems, huge between a woman in the city and a woman in the cities. It's not the same, you know. You can find women that are rich, they face different problems. Women that are poor, they face different problems. So it's not really black and white. It's super different.
Sure.
That's
sure.
it.
So yeah, like that's pretty much the messages I've been transmitting to my friends, because like whenever, like, you know, I'm always shocked of how little people know about Morocco. Like one story is like a few years ago, actually not a few years ago, it was like almost 10 years ago. One of my friends was coming to visit me in Morocco, like just coming for a smart vacation. And I remember he called me up once. He was like, "Hey, do you guys have a washing machine?" And I was like, "Are you serious? Like, what do you think we do? We just go to the river and wash our clothes with soap in there?" And sometimes I joke around with my friends, like they're like, "Hey, you know, how civilized is Morocco?" I'm like, "Oh no, we don't have Uber. We have camels. Like I call a camel that comes to my house." So I don't know. I guess that's my opinion with people from outside of Morocco when they ask me things. I try to be sarcastic and just, you know, make it a joke back at it, because I just think it's so ridiculous for them to think that we don't have houses, like we live in tents and we have camels as our taxi drivers. So anyway, have you guys experienced anything like that? Maybe a friend you made on the internet, maybe a vacation you took abroad and someone was just like asked you a question that you were just so shocked that they know so little about Morocco. Let's start with Abir first.
So no, that's never happened to me. I
Well,
don't have many friends
lucky
abroad.
you.
No, so that's never happened to me. I've never been asked this kind of question that I can't imagine myself answering them. I would be just so appalled.
Yeah. Okay, Hadba.
I think it depends on like for the type of foreign. I think Europeans, since they're close to us and everything, they're more likely to know about Morocco and to know a Moroccan. Plus, they have good education when it comes to geography. But I think I don't know really. I'm not going to point any fingers. But as far as I heard, Americans, they're not really, a lot of Americans are not really good with geography, you know? They're very, America, America, America. That's all they know in their head. A lot of them, not, a percentage of them is like that. So I think all of these jokes and all of these questions that I hear, not me personally, but my friends and everything on social media, Reddit, Facebook, they're mostly, all of them are coming from Americans because they're really, they're really centered about their country and everything. So I don't think they have any knowledge. They don't have a lot of knowledge about countries outside of America, especially African countries. A lot of them think Africa is a country, actually. So as far as I've seen, I don't know. I've never been to
No, no,
America.
no. It's okay. It's okay. I can comment on this because I actually went to school in America starting at age 7. So I think in America, like you're brought up to think that America is the greatest country in the world. You're also brought up to think that everything you could ever want is in America. You have the deserts, you have Hawaii, you have Alaska, you have Florida, you have New York, you have Los Angeles. So they're just kind of like brought up that like this is the best country. You have everything here. You don't really need to travel abroad. Everything is available in America. So I would comment on that. Like I do remember many times in elementary school, I would tell people like I'm from Morocco, and there's like, where's Morocco? And I would say like in Africa, and they would look at me with this like dumb look on their face. They were like, wait a minute, is your father black? I was like, no. They're like, is your mother black? I was like, no. They're like, how come you're not black? I was like, you do realize that there's an area called North Africa where there's a different of, you know, colored skin, a skin color. They're just like, oh, okay. Like, so yeah, I do get what you're saying. That is somewhat true. Obviously, there are very intelligent, educated Americans. We're gonna do two more questions before we finish this podcast. Hopefully, we're gonna finish it on a positive note. But before we get to the positive question, let's discuss a little bit of a not so positive question. So we'll start with Headbutt this time for this question. What do you, is there a trend in Morocco that you have seen that you find to be very disturbing?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, privately.
Yeah. Personally, I think this red pill thing, you know, it's obviously not a Moroccan based, it's not originated in Morocco, it's originated in America and other Western countries. But there's this, I don't know how, there's this explosion of angry men that are just angry at women. There is this trend where now it's still going, it's still ongoing until this day. There is, we find a lot of comments. Whenever a woman posts something, there's a lot of hate comments that are completely unrelated to the content this girl made, you know? Also, there is this huge encouraging young guys to not, you know, what do you call عبير عبير
Yeah.
يدصر بالانجلي
Like
يدصر.
like arrogance, spoiled.
No. You know, do you know what دصر is?
I know
Not
what the
trying to-
word, I know what the word is, but I don't think there's a word for it in English. Like
like
overshadow.
don't give her too much value. Just leave her, put her
Yeah.
in put her
Oh,
in
like
a
oppressed, oppressed.
not oppress.
I don't think there's an English word for this Arabic word.
المهم, there's this like trend. A lot of people are talking about this. There's a group, a Facebook group, where there's so many guys that talk about their experience. They're like, there's this attack on working women. You're like, yeah, you work, you go to, you're whatever, you're a strong, independent woman. This strong, independent woman is sarcastic, obviously. It's like, yeah, you can buy makeup, you can buy your own clothes, but at the end of the day, you're still bayra. Nobody wants you. You're still gonna stay alone. Nobody wants to. No man is going to want to marry you because you're used, or no man wants their woman to be always with men in work. This weird ideas, weird ideologies that I don't know where they're coming from. And there's like this thing, oh, men work to build a family, women work to not need men. I don't know. I see them as very absurd. And talking about their makeup, clothes, obviously they wear شوفوا البنات شو كي ولاو دصروا. Girls now wear revealing clothes. Weird stuff are going on the internet. And racism. You know, when there's where we can do a study like right now, go to a video where a brown girl, you know, Moroccan girl that is not fair skinned, and go to the comments. They're like قهوية. This is a term that so many people use nowadays. سكسية القهوية. That's all they write. A girl is talking about, I don't know, astronomy or something that is completely unrelated. And شو القهوية الصراحة. What is racism? What is this? You know, what is this? What is this absurdity? What are we going? Where are we going? In Moroccans, we're mostly brown people, you know, we're not Caucasians and white people. But at the same time, there is this huge attack. Sharab qahwiya, al-azziya. You know, you're like, what is this? You know, and when you see their profile, they're like master in economy, masters in law. Where you? With your education to Sabine and And yeah, and also this other word that I've seen very frequent on social media, الحيضيات. You know what الحيضيات is?
I personally don't know. My dad Asia is not that good. So you want to explain it to us and also our audience?
الحيض is periods,
Menstrual cycles. Yeah, menstrual cycles.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're like they no longer, when they write a status on this red pill groups on Facebook, they don't write women, they write الحيضيات, as in people that have periods. I don't know how they see it as an insult, but they refer to us as الحيضيات. They refer to us as brownies, قهويات, and that's how they refer to us in the group. And I've seen this firsthand. I went to the group, I got accepted, and I was seeing the comments and this and the it's outrageous. Honestly, it's really shocking to see hate and how much hate is now towards women. They shouldn't work. They shouldn't do this. They shouldn't do that. They're doing too much. They think they're better than men. I don't know, hate that is super unnecessary, and we can just avoid it without all of this stuff, you know? That's it. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Ebir, same question. What is the most disturbing trend you've seen in Morocco associated with men? You're muted, Ebir? No problem.
Sorry. So a thing that has been happening lately, and that a person that has been poisoning teenage boys' minds, is Andrew Tate. So Andrew Tate is not Moroccan by all means, but like the impact he has on Moroccan boys is just insane. Like seeing now how many of my classmates hate women and girls, it's just completely insane. And I talked with one of these Andrew Tate fans, and the ideologies they have is just, I cannot believe it. Like, I've been friendly with this person for like since I was in middle school, and just now I'm learning that he thinks I should stay at home. So I'm like, why didn't you tell me earlier? So it's so shocking to me. It's not as shocking as when I hear an older person say it. When I hear an older person say it, I wouldn't say that it's normal to me. It's just more normal than seeing a person my age thinking that I should not continue studying and that I should stay at home, and that women are only their only purpose is to marry and have children, and marrying is seen as the greatest achievement in a woman's life. So being I don't think marriage should be the greatest achievement in a woman's life, but unfortunately this is what a lot of men think. And as already been said, that they say that, oh no, because of that you will never marry. So who said that a woman will not be happy if she's not married? And in the end of it all, why would she marry a person that is just as uneducated as you? So this trend with Andrew Tate, and even though Andrew Tate has been banned off social media, he's still having such a huge impact on Moroccan boys, and I have no idea why. I have no idea what's happening.
Okay. All right. So for the final question of our podcast today, we'll end it on it. Go ahead. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I want to comment on something else.
Sure.
Basically, the CEO of the Red Pill movement. He's the representative. Yeah. He's the representative of the Red. He's like, what do they say? These alpha males, Sigma, Red Pill guys. They're like, you need to take the Red Pill. The Red Pill is being a masculine guy, dominant guy, and thinks that women are submissive. They should do this. They're nurturing. They should stay at home, have kids, and you're the superior, dominant, and smart guy that thinks with logic, while women think with their emotions.
That's very, very cringe, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's basically the sum up of the Red Pill movements. Other than, of course, add other stuff. You need to you have strong body, strong mind, dominant, money, etc., etc. And also, there is also this trend that is still there, but it was very common. A moment ago, is kuzinsk. Whenever a woman, also on social media,
you're gonna have to translate some of these words for us.
Oh yes, sorry. Your kitchen.
Okay.
Your kitchen is kuzinsk, basically. Yeah. So a woman talks the comments. Kuzinsk, right? I swear, I'm not even joking. I'm not even
No, I
exaggerating.
believe you. I believe you. Go ahead.
Habib, I think you witnessed this as well on social media. It was like this. It was
Yes,
what? Right?
I cannot count how many times I've been told kuzinzik, like even in class, like just saying a right response, kuzinzik, and it's just so mind blowing.
Kuzinsk, what? Yeah, whatever. They're like, yes, مثلا, for example, a woman is on social media in a status or in real life, not status. What's le statut in French? In English?
Like status, like
Status,
you.
right? Right word.
I don't
Like
know.
posts.
Oh, so like you're doing a status update on Facebook. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Okay.
If a woman says something, they're like, I did this, I participated in this, I did that, and they're like, at the end of the day, you're going to cuisine. At the end of the day, you're going to the kitchen. This is actually a common thing you hear, and I heard it so many times. You can be a politician, you can be an astronomist, you can be whatever you want, but at the end of the day, you're going to your kitchen, you know? And
Yeah.
people think it's like it's their they believe that whoever you are and whatever position you are as a woman, at the end of the day, you belong to the cuisine, to the kitchen. So yeah, that was also a trend that everybody noticed, and it was super. So yeah, that's it.
Well, if
You can
I were,
continue.
thank you for giving me permission to continue as the host of this podcast. No, I was gonna say that if I were in your shoes and then if I were a girl and someone commented on my post like that, I would say, well, technically, the best chef in the world are men, so maybe it's time for you guys to go in the kitchen, like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, so man,
Okay.
crazy.
So Epi, did you want to add something on today's disturbing trends before we move on to the final question of our podcast today?
Yes, is that we only talked about how men say this, but sometimes it's even women who are conditioning this.
Really?
Also, yes, who also believe this and who think that they should not be studying, like they would stop studying like until 12th grade and then they will stop and wait for a husband because their place is in the kitchen. So to think that this misogyny has been ingrained in them since their childhood, even now they think the same thing and they're conditioning this sexism and patriarchy and misogyny. It's so unfortunate, I think.
So that's what I was actually talking about in the beginning of our episode is like these views and these thoughts are passed down by generation and generation where it gets to the point like I think Hedba said this in the beginning like you have a guy who listens to Western music, he wears Western fashions, he likes, Kanye West, listens to rap and everything, but at the end of the day they can still be conservative in the way they're thinking because this is like just beliefs and conservative ways that are passed down from generation to generation. I mean, my hope is that like slowly and slowly they get these thoughts get washed out from generation to generation, but it's not going to happen overnight basically.
Yeah, for and also, sorry.
No, go ahead. This is why we brought you on the show, to speak your mind.
Yeah, thank you. Also, if I want to talk in a completely neutral way, these trends on social media, they're not really only about women, you know? There are also trends, have you ever heard of the kill all men trend?
I don't know where you guys are finding these trends. I'm finding positive trends in my life.
Have you heard? It was
Yes.
in.
It's
Okay, tell us about it.
Movement.
What?
It's kind of a radical feminist movement.
Yeah, it was like a trend, a huge trend on TikTok. I think it started on TikTok.
Okay.
And it was in the confinement period where women would post kill on men. They would share a bad experience with their boyfriends or their partners in previous, previously, and they would be like hashtag kill all men. So I think when it comes to trends, I don't think we should take social media seriously, because everybody says the most weird stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Because at the end, this woman that you find says kill all men, you find her madly in love with a man. And this guy who comes like and be like, yeah, women are nothing, we're superior. You find him simping and madly in love with another woman. So I think these trends, they could be, of course, they could come off as very hateful. They could come off as very violent. They could encourage people to be violent and to be aggressive in real life. But a huge percentage of it is just people are oppressed in real life, and they channel this anger in social media when they know nobody is going to hold them accountable. So yeah, trends are always there's a lot of toxic trends that are aimed for women and for men, honestly, to be very neutral. Also the trend yet no, not yet, the phrase of men are dogs, boys are dogs, you know, this phrase, I see it all the time on Twitter and everything. You know, it's very harmful towards everybody. It's there's trends that are you find a lot of radical men and women that take place and that participate in these kinds of toxic trends, but I just hope that they only see it as satire or sarcasm or a joke or whatever, and not apply it in their own personal life with other people. That's what I hope.
But I
That's
think
it.
even if it's like satire or a joke, it can still have an impact on real life. Even if this person is only saying it as a joke, other people will be influenced by that, and it will be applied in real life no matter what.
Yeah, I guess the conclusion the conclusion to this, in my opinion, I guess like the internet and social media is like a double-edged sword. On one hand, it has brought us together, has made communicating possible, has even made this meeting today possible because you guys are in one country and I'm in another country. But at the same time, it's also brought the radicals, the crazies, the nutheads on the internet, which could do a lot of damage. I don't want to drag this on before we jump into the last question, but one thing I'm curious to hear, and maybe also our audience are curious to know, because I get my news just from the internet. Like I follow Morocco World News, I follow Hesh Press English just to get my news about Morocco in English and stay up to date. And very often I see like someone in Morocco was arrested for like spreading fake news about coronavirus, or someone was arrested in Morocco for bullying some other person, other gender. So I'm just curious, like, in your opinion, do you feel like this is the Moroccan government just trying to arrest one person once in a while, just to show the world that, yes, we obey the rights of people, we respect their rights? Do you think it's just kind of like they're doing it to show the world that, yeah, we're a civilized nation? Or do you think it's really like happening? Like, have you heard of any one of your friends or friends got arrested for doing something on the internet, like spreading hate speech? Anyone?
No.
No,
Okay.
It's not happening.
Alrighty then, let's move on to the final question, which is the last question of this episode, which is also going to be hopefully an optimistic question. So for this question, we'll start with Hetba. On a positive note, what is the most uplifting trend that you are seeing in Morocco that gives you some hope for the future? Oh, I think she disconnected it.
Back.
All right, I'm gonna ask Abir this question because I asked you and you disconnected, but no problem. So Abir, the question was, what is the most uplifting trend that you are seeing in Morocco that gives you some hope? So Abir, could you answer this first, and then finally we'll end with Hetba.
So I wouldn't say it's exactly a trend, but it's more like a thing Moroccan women tend to do, is sharing their achievements in social media and saying, well, I was in this and this and this, but finally I made it, and we can all make it. Like, if we work hard, even if we live in this society that is slowing us down and slowing our progress down, then we can make it. And just seeing these achievements that women can make even through all these hardships, it just makes me a little bit optimistic for the future.
Okay, and that's nice to hear. Well, Hadba, anything that you're seeing that gives you some hope?
Yeah, I agree with what Abia said. I think women sharing their experiences and sharing their achievements is very nice, especially older women, because they give hope to younger generations. And also, I think there is an increase. Increase is up, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
There is an increase of women in politics and leadership positions. This is very nice to see. And also, whenever there's more politicians and more leaders, I see that social media and media outlets in Morocco actually talk about it. They don't swoop it under the rug, and they show it to the world. And it shows women that are still studying, it shows girls, younger girls, that they can be whoever they want in the world. And we shouldn't think about the whole hateful comments that women cannot be leaders because we think with our emotions and not with logic, etc., etc. You see a lot of women that are judges. You see a lot of women that are politicians. You see a lot of women that are not presidents, CEOs and everything. So it gives you hope for a better future where there's equality and there's equality. That's it.
All right. Well, it was nice to end this episode on a positive note. Finally, we just want to say thank you once again to Hadba and Abir for joining us for this episode today. Abir, I believe, has a YouTube channel. If you want to learn more about her and see what she does on her YouTube channel, Abir, could you tell us how they could find you? You're muted again, Abir.
Once again, okay. So sorry. My YouTube channel's name is Abir Fa, and there I talk about books. If that's what you're interested about, it's a BookTube channel. I share reviews on books and ratings and all of that, and I hope you could check it out.
All right. Well, thank you once again for joining us in this episode today, Hadba and Abir. I hope you guys have a wonderful and successful future. From what I've learned about you guys today, it seems like you're going to be successful no matter what you do. For everyone else, you can find this episode on our YouTube channel, on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and Spotify. Thank you all once again, and see you in our next episode.